But you mentioned something about big league players, and you had some big leaguers going that trip to Hawaii. So who are some of the big leaguers that you've coached over the years or that you have relationships with today?
Well, guys that played in the big leagues was Lou Collier and Neil Brown. Those two that come to mind. And then I had guys, first draft pick out of our program that I coached was Nate Benson. I forget what round he was, but he was drafted by the New York Mets.
Okay.
And we had several guys after that. I had Rod Walker, who, God rest his soul, just passed away a couple weeks ago. He was a fifth round pick by the Texas Rangers. And Rod, he was hilarious. He was hilarious. He was a 16-year-old kid that I was the only coach that would discipline him and bench him. Every other coach let him get away with what he wanted to. And, I would bench him in a minute. He would go home crying. Mama made him bench me. And his mother loved me because I was the only coach that just went, she's like, good, you must have did something you wasn't supposed to. So, but, I mean, it was all in the making and the molding. Coach ain't had no favors. I mean, only person, my favorite saying from day one when they come to my program, it's only one superstar in this program, and that's me.
Yep. I know it. I know it to be true. I've heard it several times.
I've had a lot of good guys, a lot of college guys, and a whole lot of memories, a whole lot of great memories. And the diversity of the team, I mean, you don't think about it at the time, but when you look at it now, it's special. I mean, we first started off I think our first trip was in 2000. Our first trip was in 1984. We went down to Cincinnati, Ohio. And that's where it all took off in Cincinnati. And then we used to go up to La Crosse, Wisconsin every year. It was the Stars of Tomorrow tournament. And it was this all-black team at the time, traveling, playing good baseball. And we were so good that when we played the white teams, we would knock them out of tournaments, and they would come back and watch us play them in their parents because they wanted to see some good baseball.
Yeah.
You had the inner city ball players. They, back then you had the little chats, ticky, time to rock and all that stuff. And our players would get in the dugout, and everywhere we go, everywhere.
People wanted to
touch rhythm. The little white kids would sit there in amazement. They'd sit behind our dugout. Hey, sing. Can you guys sing again? Can you guys sing?
They were learning swag, man. But yeah, so that's what I said. I mean, the diversity changed because it wasn't an all-black team when I played, and that's all I played with growing up until playing in your program, playing with guys from Washington High School and different other high schools throughout the area. So that was pretty cool for me. That helped to expose a lot for me. So when I think about your career, it's more than just coaching in baseball. We're doing an interview because you have your own production company. You've been pushing that since I've known you. I mean, that's how I got my start. So where did it come that you decided to take it from just on the field to recording things and documenting? Where did that idea spark, and what was the motivation behind that?
I think it started in about 2003. Somebody had approached me about taping a show for the college team when we were starting off. And we taped a couple of shows as a pilot. I don't think they ever got aired. I'd like to see that footage, but over time it just evolved and I got off into it. And before you know it, I got off into doing interviews on the road. And then I got involved with Major League Baseball and doing interviews and it just went from there. And coach some everywhere now, all over TV. I got a TV show in Chicago. I got a TV show that airs in the Chicago Southland, which is South Suburbs. I do a live radio show on Saturday mornings. So coach is out there. Coach is out there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's awesome. So I know you talk to MLB players because when I interned with you, that was the focus of the show, to talk to these Major League Baseball players about how they transition from high school to college to the show. So I want to ask you, how did you transition to being involved with the MLB? Like, how does that even happen? How does that spark? I believe you were a scout at one point. Like, how does that even happen, Coach?
I think somebody reached out to me. They were going to cover – they were taking a group down to But they'd reach out to me to go with them, the group that was going down to document the trip they was making.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we had to get permission from Major League Baseball to be able to cover as part of the media. And from there, it opened the door to start covering the White Sox, and that's kind of where that kind of took on its own life from there. And I mean, it's been all good ever since. We got, we met a lot of players, and get a lot of respect from the players. And I guess one of the biggest ones is Big Papi himself. I had opportunity. One of my first interviews with Big Papi, I did several. I was sitting in the dugout next to him, and we was just talking, and I asked him, "Hey, can I do an interview with you?" And we got to talking about him and his Kirby Puckett and so on and so forth, which was a real good friend of his. And from there, we just kind of struck it, hit it off. From there, we just kind of hit it off. And every time I see him now, when he see me, he like, "Hey, my main man." Well, you establish, and over time, my shows is not geared around them standard media questions. How come you went 0 for 4? And why did you beat your wife 20 years ago? My theme is taking them behind the scenes. What was it like getting to the big leagues? What was your high school days like? And the players like talking about that. They like sharing the parts of them that people don't get to hear about. Yeah. So it kind of became an instant success with the players. And, players remember you. Once you interview them once, when they come to town, they remember you when they see you again. It's a small world. And even with the Sox and the Cubs players, you kind of, as media, you're not a part of the family, but at the same time, they accept you as like a part of them, that fraternity.
Yeah. Yep. I saw it for a brief summer when working with you, and it was awesome. I mean, some of the dudes even calling you coach. That was like unique.
That's my trademark with the guys, coach.
I know, and I mean that's something to have MLB players calling you coach when they're in the league.
Yeah,
that says a lot. That says a lot. So, anything you want to say to your players, coach, after 40 years?
It's been a good run. Like I said, I hadn't thought about the fact that I've been involved in 40 years until I got that call from Donnell Harvey, and they like my kids. They fun. They still keep me laughing when we, it might have been some years in between, but whenever we talk or run across each other, I mean, we pick up where we left off at. And throughout the years, Coach Mayden has been like a part of the family. When family members die in their family, they get the call, and I'm there. I didn't again, Rod Walker a few weeks ago. We was at his, as we call it in the Black community, his homegoing service. I had Terrell Stennis, who played for me on that '86 team that went down to the World Series in Chillicothe. His mother passed last year, and that's been more than 30 years, and that was Coach Mayden sitting on the front row. I was part of the family. And, when they get together, they laugh and talk about old times and things that happened on the road trip. So, it's been special. It's been a good run, and good Lord gave me longevity, and hopefully more longevity. So I enjoyed every moment. And again, I thank them, and I thank y'all, and thank you for giving me a chance to be a part of your lives and in some way contribute.
Yeah, if you keep on this longevity track, you're going to make it to 120 by next year.
I'm only 13, so I don't know. I got a whole way to go.
Well, Coach, anything else you'd like to add, man, or are you good? Peace. Talk to me with the coach.
There you go.